This is macOS Ken.
Territory and wait times grow for iPhone 15, subtle looks at supply versus demand, and the world arrives at macOS Sonoma. It is Tuesday, the 26th of September, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by BetterHelp. Online therapy. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Round 2 of the iPhone 15 release is set to launch this week. Mac Rumors says 20-plus additional countries will get Apple's latest line of communicators this Friday, the 29th of September. Vietnam, Turkey, Malaysia, and Macau are among the new territories for the 15 line. If you want a full list, you'll have to wait till this weekend, it seems. The Mac Rumors piece says Apple has not provided a complete list of countries. Maybe they want it to be a surprise. If your wait for an iPhone 15 Pro Max feels historic, analysts from JP Morgan say that's because it is. Apple Insider has peeped a note from that firm. They've got the investment house indicating that orders for the iPhone 15 Pro Max are now taking a record 50 days to fulfill on the average worldwide. That time is said to be lengthening, according to the firm. I will say your mileage may vary. Through a very surprising and very welcome set of circumstances, there is an iPhone 15 Pro Max on the way to me. Somebody reached out and offered a trade of services. I am grateful, and I am stoked. That order was placed on Monday. It'll be to me sometime between the 24th of October and the 31st. While that wait does feel interminable, it is not 50 days or more. If you want a more granular look at availability in the States for the iPhone 15 line, let me direct you to WayneDixon.com. That's D-I-X-O-N, WayneDixon.com. Wayne has done a bit of spelunking, gathering model numbers from Apple and SKUs from carriers. He's put them all in a database that matches model, color, storage size, and carrier. Then, Magic Tech elves visit all the associated pages, figure out the delivery dates, and put them up on an availability page. He sent it to me. I was checking it for various stories. Then I was like, can I just tell people about this? And he was like, yeah. So there you go. WayneDixon.com. Back to our pals at JP Morgan. The way they see it, most of the iPhone 15 line is doing better this year than corresponding phones in last year's iPhone 14 line. Quoting their note, lead times for the 15 Pro Max, 15 Plus, and 15 are tracking more elevated relative to their predecessors in the 14 series, and the iPhone 15 Pro Max is boasting the highest lead times we have seen historically across all SKUs since we have been tracking lead time data, which started with the iPhone 12. What they're not ready to say yet is why the waits are as long as they are. While indications are the demand is strong, JP Morgan thinks early production issues with Pro Max camera sensors could be adding significantly to the wait time. They'll be ready to decide in about a week. Quoting the note again, with issues resolved a few weeks ago and supply ramping up, extension of lead times into week 3 would be atypical and could be a more definitive indicator of better iPhone 15 series demand over iPhone 14 series. JP Morgan has a positive rating on Apple shares. The firm's price target on the shares is $230. More indication that Apple's leaning harder into the Pro end of the phone line. Another piece from Apple Insider had data from display supply chain consultants showing stronger orders for Pro and Pro Max displays for this year's model versus last year. According to the report, the volume of shipments for display panels used in the iPhone 15 generation was up 23% in August compared to the iPhone 14 generation in August 2022. Indicative of greater demand? It could be, though just like in the JP Morgan note, the article is non-committal. While this could infer higher demand, Apple Insider says it's also possibly down to Apple minimizing supply chain issues for the iPhone 15 in general versus the chronically delayed iPhone 14 Pro line caused by COVID issues in China affecting a major factory. Holy cow, 11 years later, it's almost like people are starting to take what Tim Cook said about data points in the supply chain seriously. My work here may almost be done. News Monday of a possible kink in Apple's supply chain. Seeking Alpha cites a Reuters report that says Pegatron has halted iPhone production at a plant in India. According to the report, a fire at the firm's plant in Tamil Nadu ground operations there to a halt. Annoyingly, there are many unknowns in this piece. Among them, what model or models of iPhone was the plant producing, how bad was the fire, and when will the plant be back up and running? Seeking Alpha says as of yesterday, workers had not been told when they'd be back to work. That said, Pegatron indicated to Reuters that the incident does not pose a significant financial or operational impact to the company. Last week when iFixit went back and changed its repairability rating on last year's iPhone 14, I personally had the feeling that it was in anticipation of something. That something was the then imminent arrival of the iPhone 15 line. When iPhone 14 came out, iFixit was turned on by how much easier Apple had made accessing the insides of that device. They were so turned on by that they gave the device a repairability rating of 7 out of 10. But there were issues. Issues like having to buy replacement parts from Apple and having to jump through various technical hoops to make even the Apple parts work. And so, a year later, just a few days before the iPhone 15 line hit homes and shelves, iFixit went back and bounced its repairability rating for the iPhone 14 down to 4 out of 10. iPhone 15 Pro Max brings some of the design changes pioneered in the consumer-focused iPhone 14 to Apple's Pro phones. It also brings the issues with replacement parts and technical hoops, and so, would you like to guess iFixit's repairability rating for the iPhone 15 line? Another piece from Apple Insider says they have given the entire iPhone 15 line a repairability rating of, pause for effect, 4 out of 10, though it may go lower. According to the piece, the score is provisional, as it includes credit for anticipated service manual availability and selling repair parts, but it is weighed down by the inability to swap components due to software limitations. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, BetterHelp. Online therapy. Do troubling thoughts keep you awake at night? Not me. When my mind is made less than merry by such thoughts, they hit me first thing in the morning, with special appearances throughout the day. Whether whatever is bothering you keeps you awake or greets you like a ghoul first thing in the morning, talking them through with someone, a therapist may be the way to go. If you're considering therapy, consider BetterHelp. Getting started is easy. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and BetterHelp works to find a licensed therapist who's right for you. Going to therapy is also easy, because you don't have to go anywhere. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. I am a big fan of that online part. I like being able to message my therapist or having them message me. When I was doing therapy, it made it feel more immediate, more personal. Get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/macOSken today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/macOSken. BetterHelp.com/macOSken. macOS Sonoma is on the way today. Mac Rumors ran a piece last week highlighting a few features coming in macOS 14. Among them, desktop widgets, which puts fully interactive widgets on the desktop. It's right there in the name. Game mode, which temporarily prioritizes CPU and GPU performance for gaming on Apple Silicon Macs. Web apps in dock, which puts web apps in the dock. It's right there in the name. Safari profiles, which lets you keep your browsing, cookies, history and such separated for work life, personal life, and whatever other categories you got going. And new screensavers and wallpapers, which bring some of the magic of Apple TV screensavers to your Mac. Not everything will work for every Mac, of course. Apple has been bringing the whiz-bang to Apple Silicon machines since starting that switch a few years ago. If you're wondering whether your machine can take it, Mac Rumor says macOS Sonoma will be compatible for iMac Pro 2017, MacBook Pro 2018 and later, MacBook Air 2018 and later, Mac Mini 2018 and later, iMac 2019 and later, Mac Pro 2019 and later, and Mac Studio 2022 and later. If you're wondering what time exactly you can send your Mac to Sonoma, Apple has not said exactly. That said, a piece from Cult of Mac is willing to make a guess. According to the site, based on the company's track record, new OS builds typically drop around 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, so expect macOS Sonoma to release at about the same time today. And finally today, though we've concentrated here on the FineWoven case for iPhone, there is other FineWoven stuff on the way. Mac Rumors ran a piece Monday saying that FineWoven magnetic link bands for Apple Watch are now available to order. According to the report, the bands are available in 41 and 45 millimeter sizes, and they are backwards compatible with other Apple Watch case sizes. Color options include evergreen, taupe, and Pacific blue, and all the bands are estimated to ship in 4 to 5 weeks. And they are not cheap, or not inexpensive anyway. They'll run buyers $99 each. The Mac Rumors piece notes the fairly harsh reviews and criticism the FineWoven phone cases have gotten. I wonder whether watch bands, which tend to be less rough and tumble, will be more well received. Speaking of FineWoven reaction, my friend and former podcasting partner Mike LaPlante wrote in with his FineWoven case review. My opinion on FineWoven iPhone cases, says Mike, is that they are mostly an overpriced piece of Apple kit, which can be said for a lot of what they sell. However, these leather replacement cases are nowhere near the same value as a leather iPhone case from any manufacturer. He notes a distinct difference between the feel of the sides of the FineWoven case versus the back, a comment I have seen a couple of other places as well. Mike wraps his note saying, "My takeaway from the FineWoven iPhone case is that the real value in it is the feeling you get from having an Apple logo on your iPhone case." A big thanks to Mike for his comments. I still want to hear from you too. You can send me your thoughts on the FineWoven cases at info@macosken.com. And if you want to see some of what Mike's been up to lately, hit up YouTube for The Average Wine Enthusiast. The Average Wine Enthusiast on YouTube. Look for it, subscribe, and please watch responsibly. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by BetterHelp. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/macOSken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSken. Advertising handle by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.